Hey everyone, it's me, it's Gray, and welcome to what was this? Episode 7, I think, of my art journey. I completely forgot. Um yeah, excuse me. So when we last left off, we I gave myself a little mini challenge, which was to take random objects in my room, redraw them slightly differently, and the purpose was to sort of train myself on how to draw things from imagination. I wanted to activate or strengthen at least my imagination. And that was a little mini challenge I came up with. I kind of figured that it was about time I moved on. I mean, I think watching me draw a random golden chick cup over and over again can only get so interesting to watch from a viewer's perspective. I did enjoy the challenge because it allowed me to kind of see where I was in terms of the basic fundamentals of art. I can see where I need to work on, and off camera, I am saying I am working on those little areas. But now it's time to move on to more interesting things, which is which are drawing bodies, heads, hands, eyes, noses. Basically, I want to be able to draw a person. Yeah, I want to be able to draw a person, and in order to do that, I'm breaking it down into levels. So for this video will be level 1, which is okay. Of course, I'm going off the cuff on this one. Drawing the head. I want to be able to just draw heads in any angle, any perspective, any shape, male or female, young or old. I'm trying to draw the heads, and this video will be, honestly, I think probably a multi-part on drawing the heads before I move on to the other facial features. So for this video, it's just strictly the shape of the head itself. I do every now and then draw a nose, every now and then, just to kind of get myself kind of picture in my head how things should be angled. But this is just a video of me drawing different heads. As I mentioned before, I'm not completely blind to art. I have dabbled in it a bit when I was younger. I've just gotten very rusty, and right now I want to start over from scratch and build up from there. So I am familiar with the standard method that many teachers, many professional artists implement when drawing character heads, which is basically drawing a circle and then drawing like a line down the middle to show where the head is facing or where the center of the face is. And then they'll draw the jaw that connects from the bottom of the circle to the tip of the bottom of the line to kind of show where the jaw and the chin is. And then they'll draw like horizontal lines on the middle of the circle to like show where the eyes would be and the nose would be. I kind of have experience doing that. Once again, I'm very rusty. I started drawing period when I was like technically kindergarten, but let's just say I started drawing semi-seriously as early as middle school. So I'm not completely blind to this. I tried to implement what I knew off the top of my head. The results, in my opinion, I might be my own worst critic, but it was kind of so-so. Yeah, it was, drawing the chins were very hard. Keeping the jaw, like keeping the face from being too long or too short is very hard. Drawing a circle, obviously, drawing a perfect circle is always difficult no matter who you are. But I kind of realized at some point, part of the difficulties with drawing a head was like making the head, which is supposed to be like the main chunk of the skull, that circle part. Sometimes I'll draw it too big, too small, or better yet, I think it's more accurate to say I draw the chin to be too large, too small, too long, too short. Basically, I saw the difficulties. So in this video, I did two things. First off, I just did off the cuff, like off the top of my head. I would draw the basic outline of a character head with little to no facial features, just strictly focusing on the jaw, the chin, the where a nose would be, where the eyes would be, the top of the head. I'll just mainly focus on drawing that. And then later on, the second half or the semi-second half of the video, I got the idea of drawing using references. I know this kind of funny I would do this because in the very beginning I said I want to grow beyond just heavily relying on references, being a copycat artist. And I feel like I should clarify this. I understand the importance of drawing from reference. I do. Trust me. Not everybody can just become the artistic, just become Beethoven and just conjure up whatever comes to mind with ease without any reference whatsoever. Back then I used to get to the point where I would just draw strictly from what I saw without being able to input my own twist into it. And it would get to the point where it would just get to the point where I will be unable to draw that character if he told me to do it without looking at reference. Like, it kind of doesn't make sense, but basically, if you were to hand me a picture of, I don't know, let's say SpongeBob, and you were to tell me to draw, I would draw that exact picture you gave me down to the finest detail, to the point where it would actually look pretty impressive. Like, oh wow, you're able to draw, you're able to take notice of all these tiny details in him. It looks super accurate, it looks super close to the original. If you were to take away that image and tell me to draw SpongeBob, it will look no different than like a 5-year-old. Like, that's where I was back then. I was a good artist if you told me to draw exactly from what I saw. Like, I was a copycat artist. Like, that's why I called myself that. Because if you were to tell me just to draw straight from memory, you would see exactly where I failed. You exactly see where my issues lie. I used to love, I loved Dragon Ball growing up. I used to draw Dragon Ball characters so much. I have an entire collection of like Dragon Ball characters that I've drawn when I was like in elementary school. If you were to tell that exact version of me, and even the version of me today, to draw Goku, the main character of Dragon Ball, with just, with little to no reference, or better yet, if you were to tell me to draw Goku, sitting down, like if you were to give me a reference image of him just standing up, and if you were to tell me to draw him sitting down, I wouldn't be able to do it. Like, does that make sense? I basically, back then, I used to be a strictly copycat artist. I could draw if you asked me to draw straight from straight from a direct source. If you were to tell me to draw from memory, draw from imagination, or draw slightly differently, put your own twist to it, I wouldn't be able to do it. And that's where I'm trying to get to. That was a whole ramble, I know. I get kind of scatterbrained every now and then, but it's good for the video. So yeah, so this video is basically me just drawing heads, drawing skulls, keeping it simple, keeping it whatnot. For the latter half of the video, what I did was I looked at an art style from a comic that I actually enjoy reading. I'm not going to talk about what the comic is because that's irrelevant to the video. I might talk about it in the future. But there's this online comic, or a webcomic, that I enjoyed reading, not for the story or whatnot, but just for how beautiful the art was. I was in love with how it was drawn, how the characters were drawn, super expressive, super detailed, super colorful. The poses during like the action scenes, it was an action story, was so fluid. It was just so breathtaking to me that I wanted to use that as a basis for how I want to take my future art and what direction I want to take my art in. So I scrolled through different chapters of the comic, and I would find a character, a face or a head of a character, and I would try to draw it, but in its most simplest form. And my plan is to continuously do that until I basically ingrained it into my muscles, ingrained it into my bones. I'm basically going to I'm going to look through that comic in question. I'm not going to say what it is. If you end up guessing what it is based off of what you see on screen in this video or in future videos, hey, it is what it is. It's not my favorite comic in terms of story and whatnot, but I enjoyed the way it looks. I love the way it looks. I'm going to draw those heads, different angles. I'm going to try and make it as crazy as possible. If you ever see in the video me writing words, or like drawing an arrow and like writing a comment on the side of the image, that's how you know it was difficult for me, which I enjoy, because that means I'm hitting a wall and I know what I need to focus on. If I ever have difficulty drawing a particular, like drawing something from a certain perspective, or drawing a particular thing, and you see me comment on it by drawing like a frowning face beside it, that's how you know, okay, I found an area of improvement, which I actually do like. Even if it gets a bit frustrating, I actually do like that. But anyway, yeah. That was a lot. That was a lot of talking. I feel like I've kind of went all over the place, but These videos are going to be no script. I'm not going to script any of these videos, at least for right now. Maybe once I get to video 30, I might script it, but even then I probably won't. What you're hearing are just raw thoughts from some random guy on the internet. So yeah, so this is my video. This is episode 7, I think, whatever. Next video, I'm going to still do this, still drawing more heads. Hopefully there will be some improvement between this video and that video. I'm going to try and find time off camera to do this. With that being said, it's me, this is Gray, and I am out.